Well, here's an important question because we got to revisit this. So, did you see the newest episode of the Quiet on Set
Uh,
documentary?
I've seen like the first half, maybe a little more than that.
Okay. So, I want to address something. So, prior to me speaking to you about the documentary on this podcast, I texted you about your boys in Boy Meets World and
Hmm.
about how they were named as people who wrote letters in support of a pedophile. And I was
Right.
really upset about it. And I still am. And I'll get into that in a minute. So, on this newest episode, they have Drake Bell on it to do another like candid one-on-one thing. I think it was via Zoom. I think he zoomed in, but nonetheless. So they address the letters with him and they straight up ask him, like, has anyone that was named in the documentary reached out to you? And he said, no, not a single one. And he said, I even worked on a movie. What's his name? Will Friedle?
Friedel.
He's like, I even worked on a movie with Will Friedle and it never came up. Now, obviously, this is prior to the documentary coming out.
Right.
But when they do that movie together, Will Friedle knows that he wrote a letter in support of this guy. Drake Bell talks about how when he goes to court that day for the sentencing, he talks about how the Brian Peck guy's side of the courtroom is full of a lot of celebrities.
Wait, okay, okay.
You
So what you're
following me so far?
yes, but so is what you're saying that the documentary that Will Friedle did not know that Drake Bell was the one in this documentary? Is that what you're saying?
Well, obviously, because it hadn't come out yet. What I'm saying is he
But the assumption had to be there, right? Because be, from him and anybody else that was in that courtroom.
correct? But what Drake Bell doesn't directly say is that Will Friedle was in the courtroom.
Okay, I got you.
So here's where it gets messy.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So he says, when I went to court that day, his side is full of people, full of celebrities, a lot of the people who wrote letters in support of him. My side is me, my brother, and my mom, right?
Right.
And then that's when the lady asks, like, has anyone come and just said, hey, I apologize, or sorry this happened to you? And he's like, no, not a single person. And then he said, yeah, I even worked on a movie with Will Friedle. And then they played a small clip of Will Friedle talking about being in the courtroom.
Right.
So Will Friedle was in that courtroom that day, then years later works on a movie with this guy, knowing that he's the guy that was sexually abused by the guy that he spoke out in support of. So immediately my intuitions of, yeah, everyone that wrote letters are pieces of crap. Sorry, let me be more succinct here. Pieces of shit, and they don't get a pass, in my opinion. They just don't. Now, I know these are your boys. So what I want to do is ask you a question. Put yourself in Drake Bell's shoes, but I want to flip it for a minute. Let's say he never works in the industry again after that day in court. He quits the industry. You're Drake Bell. You've quit the industry. You no longer have to work with these people. You're now just a human being who people know has been sexually abused by a guy that they know. Does that change your expectation of people reaching out to you as human beings?
Well,
Not,
hang on. If I'm Drake Bell
yep.
and
You're,
okay, so you're saying that Brian Peck doesn't do anything else in the industry. Is that what you're saying?
no, fuck him. He's no, that doesn't matter. I'm just
Okay, I
saying
didn't.
Drake Bell never does again. And here's why
Okay.
I'm saying that. Because all those people in that courtroom that day are no longer his peers. They're just fellow humans who know something bad happened to you. They don't have to worry about working with you. They don't have to worry about not getting a job because they said something to you or apologized to you. They don't have to worry about industry bullshit. Does
Right.
it change your expectation of getting apologies, of getting that level of support that he did not get?
No, I mean, to me, it does not. It doesn't change anything.
Okay. So here's an important point I want to make. Everything you see in that documentary and everyone's reaction is because they are in the industry. It's not driven by human emotion. It's driven by fear of being booted from the industry. It's driven by fear of being blackballed out of the industry and never being able to work again. So
Well,
you've answered me. That's fine. I'll give you the opportunity to change your answer after we watch a clip of Will Friedle talking about being in court that day. Fair?
can I ask? Yeah, but can I ask a question first?
Sure.
Okay, we are under the assumption that we don't. So that the whole courtroom on Brian Peck's side is full of all these people from Hollywood.
Okay.
We're under the assumption that these people don't know what that Brian Peck has actually done this. So here's my thought, and we can You can look at this as like the Deshaun Watson case or anything like that, where you have one person who steps out and says, this person has done this to me. And then other people start piling on, right? So what if this whole situation at the very beginning was just Drake Bell? He was the one that came forward, but no one around him is saying anything, right? No one is saying, I've dealt with this, I've been through this either. So now you have a whole courtroom full of people for Brian Peck that don't really know what this guy has done to Drake Bell.
Well, they fucking know once they get to court.
Now, exactly. But as you said, so I know that everything you're saying now, you're still angry because nobody has come forward, especially since the documentaries come out, or after the fact, after they were all in the courtroom, nobody has come to Drake Bell and said, dude, I am so sorry. Nobody's apologized. I understand that's a lot of the reason why you're angry too. But what I'm saying is that Will Friedle, which we can lead into the clip here, but he basically says that once I got into that courtroom, I realized I was on the wrong side of this thing, and he felt terrible.
Okay, but guess what? He didn't talk about it or say that until the documentary came out.
Okay.
So I want to retract a statement that I made on the last podcast. I don't want anyone to apologize. You know why? Because I think you're full of shit. Because if you apologize now, it's only because you got caught because the documentary came out and named you. So your apology means nothing now. That's my opinion.
Didn't we kind of talk about that on the last show, if I remember?
I don't think so.
Well, my thought is, okay, the documentary comes out. You have two choices. You do what you wanted these people to come out and apologize and say that they were wrong and they supported the wrong person. That's what you wanted them to say, correct? But
Sure.
now, and you're saying you retracted it, I get it, but you're saying you don't want them to do it at all because now it makes them look even worse because it looks like they're being singled out and they have to because of this documentary, which makes them look like they're full of shit because they should have done it without the documentary in the first place.
It needs to have happened before the documentary came out. That's my point. Yes.
I get it.
1000%. How much time has passed since that day in court and the documentary's come out? Someone should have said something.
But let me play the sympathy role a little bit. If it happens, the whole thing plays out, and Will Friedle and Drake Bell both on the same movie later on. We're talking very heavy trauma that Drake Bell went through.
Yeah.
So if you're Will Friedle and you're on that same movie with him, do you want to bring that up? I understand what you're saying, like apologize. But you also look at yourself and like, am I only apologizing to make myself feel better? Because my apology is not going to make him feel better. It's not going to do anything besides probably bring up past trauma. And
Drake Bell even said that. He's like, it's a hard conversation. It's a difficult conversation to have. It's not something you just do. Understandable. However, the human part of me would really, really want to have some compassion for that guy and toe the line and be as tactful or lighthearted as possible and say, hey man, I screwed up.
Right.
And we can just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Something like that. But the industry won't allow Will Friedle to do that. That's my point. It just won't.
You mean because there's going to be backlash if he does it? Is that what you're saying?
Because they're brainwashed by the idea that the industry is controlling them and controlling their every move and their next move and the next move and all that. So they don't think about being human. They think about being robots and puppets of the industry. So he's not being a human in that moment. He's going, I got to go to work. He's got to go to work. We're just going to shut up and we're going to work. Let's play the clip and we'll see if maybe I'll change my mind because I have not watched this yet. So this is actually a clip of one of the ladies who was in the documentary. She's reacting to what they said on the, what is it called? Podcast Meets World. What is it called?
Yeah, Pod Meets World.
Pod Meets World. She's reacting to what is said about being in court.
Other ways. And so because of that, you ignore the fact that at the end of the day, you're still 19.
Yeah.
You know, you can only be so worldly. You can only be, you know, I look back and I go, I can't have been this naive. I mean, this man came onto our set, befriended us instantly, super nice guy, to the point where I didn't have a lot of friends. I still don't have a lot of friends. I keep my circle of friends very, very small. And
that's probably protective, right?
Yeah.
Who wants something from me? Who's authentically my friend?
And the anxiety. I never blame my mental illness for anything, and I'm not about to start now. My decisions are all my own. but because of the anxiety, it also keeps your world very small. So
Yeah.
I was making sure I knew who was in my world. I didn't go to parties. I didn't really do that stuff. But I was working a lot after Boy Meets World, and this guy had so ingratiated himself into my life. I took him to 3 shows after Boy Meets World.
So he brought Brian Peck into other shows. So he like rehired him basically.
So obviously that doesn't matter to me. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Okay. I'm sure that's, I have a feeling the type of person that Brian Peck is, he's like a collector of people, which is like most predators. Honestly, they collect people. They use people to their own personal agenda, advantage. And it's like, okay.
I mean, this was the type of thing where the person he presented was this great, funny guy who was really good at his job. And you wanted to hang out with. Again, I didn't hang out with him a lot socially, but we were on 4 different shows together on sets
Oh.
all the time.
I did. I mean, we hung out all the time. Yeah.
You hung out socially, right? Yeah, so that's
Oh,
the
all the
thing is,
time.
but that's because I just didn't have much of a social life because I was in
Mhm.
my house. But
Mhm.
I saw him every day, hung out with him every day, talked to him every day.
Mhm.
And so to look back at that and then him telling us what happened, or I'll just say for me, telling me what happened, and then instantly spinning it to where it wasn't his fault. It was clearly the fault of his victim.
Whoa, 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 whoa. So he's right now admitting that Brian Peck said what he did and blamed Drake Bell.
That's kind of what it seemed like. Can we rewind it just a few seconds? I want to rehear what he just said again.
Happened, or I'll just say for me, telling me what happened, and then instantly spinning it to where it wasn't his fault. It was clearly the fault of his victim.
A child. Can we just okay? I heard in the beginning that we're talking about a child, but can we like really just emphasize that one more time? A child.
Okay,
So, man,
so
This
so
is
here-
getting
here's
even.
so here's my thing. What he just said was that Brian Peck told him what happened. We don't
Yep.
know what that means. We don't know. I
He
highly
probably
doubt
said I
he
was
did
arrested.
that.
I'm been arrested or I'm being charged with whatever, but I didn't do anything. The person's making it up or they're
Exactly.
exaggerating or okay. But whoa. Like she's saying, oh, so a kid's saying you did something to him? Oof.
Exactly.
Oof.
A child. It is a crime every year in the past. It was a crime then, it's a crime now. It is a child. How can the I'm going to just say it honestly, and this is not to because they put it in such a way that if then it feels like I'm, victim blaming here with them. But a child cannot be at fault in this scenario.
Yeah, how?
They just
I agree.
can't. The child, this person was in their, I'm going to guess like in their 40s.
And dude, it's so crazy how in again, I love Law and Order SVU just because it's so silly and it's like easy TV to watch when you want to just unwind,
Mhm.
right? In that show, they constantly have they create these stories where the abuser talks about how they were, for lack of a better way of putting it, seduced by the victim.
Right.
Couldn't help themselves.
Right.
Ugh. Dude, I'm gonna throw up. I'm cringing. It's
Yeah.
so
but
gross.
the fact that as she said, the child cannot be.
No.
It's impossible.
Yeah, I would paint a scenario for you right now, but it would be gross for me to even do that. So let's just use your imagination. No, it can't. The child
Right.
can't be at fault. It's just gross.
During this time, and you're like, but it's a child. It's a child.
My initial instinct, because of the years I've been with him, is like, well, yeah, of course, it can't be you. Can't be you.
Mhm.
Right. You're
Ugh.
innocent.
Yeah.
It can't possibly be that. So you sidle up to the guy who now you look back in as an adult and you go, he's horrible. And my instinct
Yeah.
initially was, well, my friend this can't be. So
Mhm.
it's got to be the other person's fault. Has to be. The story, of course, makes complete sense.
The other person, you got to say the child. You got to, because I think for them to really start to like understand what happened here, they have to say child. They have to say child to themselves. It's not other person, it's the child. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, she's right. He's kind of like, it's kind of a cop out for him to say other person or even victim. Even victim doesn't work. It's a kid. It's a person who can't think for themselves yet. Essentially, it's crazy.
The
Yeah.
way that he's saying it, and you're damn right. It's that kid's fault. How dare he? And I look back at that now as an adult, and it makes me want to cry
Mhm.
that I ever was that naive. And it's just, I don't know. Again, I have all these. We've tried. Ryder and I have tried talking about this. Danielle and Ryder and I have tried talking about this. We've all tried to discuss this, and I still can't get the words out to describe all of the things that I'm feeling inside of myself. And again, I don't know.
But
Can I
enough for you to go on a podcast with ad revenue without talking to the
Oh,
survivor.
she went there. She went there. You're profiting off it's like he's making himself the victim now.
I think that's a stretch.
Well, she's right about, I mean, look, you're on your podcast, you're making money off of your podcast.
So what?
So you had trouble
what-
trouble talking about it prior. But again, this goes back to what I said, dude. Like, would
So
they
what
even
what other form though are they supposed to use, but their own platform that reaches millions of people?
Well, I think her point is maybe not one where you profit off of it. And that's fine. That is a stretch. That's fine. I
It's
get it. I
a
get what you're
stretch. Come
saying.
on now.
I don't think
Yeah.
but step into her shoes. I could see her being upset about that. But in the same sense, she's profiting off of this. So, dude, we're all guilty of this fucking like exposure and content and all that shit. But I go back to the question of would you even be talking about it if you weren't named in that documentary? Because clearly you're stating amongst your closest friends who you do a pod with, you have trouble speaking about it. So why would you talk about it if you didn't get named in this documentary? Like it's easy to say all this now because you got caught.
I completely understand what you're saying. However, to go back to what you said last week, I mean,
You think he's doing a good thing.
well, I do, but do you want him to come out or not? Because if they don't say anything, you're going to say, well, he's an asshole because he's not apologizing.
I did
But
want
now, but now he is apologizing. You're like, you're an asshole because
Yeah,
you're
I don't like it.
profiting off of
No, I don't
making
care
an
that he's profiting.
apology.
I don't care that he's
I know,
profiting.
I
off of
know.
it.
But what I'm saying is it's like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. If you come out and you apologize, it's like, okay, well, you're apologizing, but it doesn't mean anything because you're only apologizing because your name, was mentioned in this documentary. But if you don't apologize, it's like, okay, well, you're an asshole because you're not apologizing because now we know that you were a part of this thing and you haven't said anything. But so it's like the only way that you can fix this is go back in time and apologize to him back then, and then it will be over with. But
Yeah,
his name
we
would
need
still
Doc
be
Brown
in-
and Marty
but
McFly.
his name would still be in the documentary. And the only way to save your face would be if Drake Bell would have said, okay, well, Will Friedle did apologize to me on a movie set one time. That's
No, I get
literally
it.
all that can be done.
So look, I said that I want them to apologize, but now I don't. Now that I've thought about it more and I've seen this new episode, I just want everybody to fuck off. I think he suck. Dude, I'll be honest with you. If now let me put myself in Will Friedle's shoes. I am so riddled with anxiety and self-hate that I would worry that if I did what he's doing on his podcast, people would hate me. So if I just chalk it up to I'm a piece of shit. I fucked that up. There's nothing I can say that's going to make a difference now. My name's out there.
but
I've
you-
been
but you
named in
would-
the documentary.
But you wouldn't have the anxiety of not saying anything and still thinking the same thing. People still thinking the same thing?
I would fucking get Drake Bell's phone number and I would call him and say, dude, I suck. I fucked up. I am so sorry what happened to you. I know you don't have to forgive me, but I fucked up. Just know that I know that I fucked up, and I would leave it at that. Have you ever had that realization with a friend or a person you know where you just have to be the one that goes, it was me. It was me. But there's no excuses, there's no explanations. It's just I fucked up. I feel like this moment calls for that. I feel like this situation calls for that.
So let me ask you this: Do you think, for one, we don't know if he actually has done that? He could have possibly done that. I mean, it still goes back to the whole thing of, well, you're doing it because of the documentary, whatever. But do you think lawyers are involved? Do you think in a way of like that? You know, you think Will Friedle or anyone else has talked to their lawyers and like, I really want to reach out to Drake, and they say this probably isn't a good idea
Why do you
because
have to involve a
it could stir
lawyer?
things up. Well, I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering if there's any.
I
Because
well,
because of the
if by
documentary.
is lawyer a code word for industry, then yes.
I mean, possible.
Okay, then yeah. Yeah, you're right. I would guess that that's the case. Yes. I don't know, man.
Sweet.
This is a bummer. It's kind of bumming me out. And I don't even like that goddamn show. It's your favorite show, and I still haven't turned to you yet. Here, let's keep going.
Right? Enough to get here, though, with an expert from YouTube and all this jazz. Enough to get here. You know, come on, man.
Oh wait, are they talking to like a trauma counselor?
I'm not sure. I don't know what's happening
So
here.
she was talking about that earlier. I think they might be. You listen to the podcast. You let us know on the next episode.
Yeah, I will.
I'm so rooting. I'm rooting for people to do the right thing and understand, you know, what's wrong here. But like enough to get here and not to go talk to the survivor. So cry then, Becca. Becca, wait, Becca. I didn't want to say it, but that was what I was saying in real time when I.
Can I ask you a question?
I,
And this is
I don't know
totally
what's
off topic.
I don't know what's happening here. Can we go back to?
Oh, because Wilfred L said I want to cry, and so the commenter on her
okay.
screen is saying, "So cry then."
Okay, I got you. Good.
First heard that part. I said those exact words, Becca, and I'm just happy you said that because it's the truth. Like, then cry then. Like when someone says I could cry when they done, you're like, but
you're not.
I still don't feel the emotion here. I would just be like, I can't believe I feel so bad for this person that I've hurt, and I can't believe this happened. Like, I don't feel any of that still. I would be so upset. Be so upset.
Add
too.
a layer to this too that I think is really important to talk
Yes,
about
Becca.
because I think it's important. Like we had a lot of stand-ins leading up to season 5,
Okay.
and sometimes it just happened recently. We were like, hey, that guy who's in this episode is
Does
one
she
of our.
know what she's talking about right now? I'm sorry, like Danielle. Like you know that she's how this vibe is of this panel. What's going
Okay,
on?
this is.
Do you
I'm
know what
over
your
this
guys are
already.
Okay. You don't want
I'm-
your show to be attacked.
No, it has nothing to do with that. But now she's just going to attack every single word that comes out of their mouth, and it's not going to make sense. Now she's just going to use the platform just to attack them.
Well,
and
yeah,
Daniel
it
hasn't
is YouTube.
Well, I mean, Daniel hasn't even said anything yet. That I'm
Well,
not
I
saying
kind of,
she
I kind
won't.
of,
She might, but
well, let's see what she says. Let's see what she says, because I kind of agree. It's like, why are you talking about that right now? Let the dude talk. Like,
Yeah.
what?
talking about right now? And do you know who's gonna be listening? The kid, who's now an adult for sure, but the kid is gonna be listening. Come on.
Our stand-ins, and we couldn't remember his name. And that's not because we're terrible people, and it's not because we have awful memories. Sometimes it's just because even though we worked with those people every day, there were boundaries in place. That adult did have boundaries with us. Didn't try to separate us from our friends or have lunch with us every day off stage. This particular person did. All the years of having stand-ins, no one ever do I remember regularly going to lunch with the cast members, but this person did. And part of that's because when they arrived on set, they were extremely charming. They were very personable. They had a lot of jokes. They also, because of their many years of experience working in the entertainment industry, knew other very successful, famous kids and young men and regularly talked about them.
Yeah, okay, you get the picture. Yeah,
yeah. So
I'm not
but-
saying she didn't have
but-
something to say right there, but well, look.
But to go back to what you were saying earlier about Will was saying that Brian Peck told him what was going on and that kind of placed the blame on Drake Bell
Right.
somehow. I don't really know how that works, but
Like I said, use your imagination, dude.
if you're I'm not saying age is an excuse, but if you're Will and you're 19 years old, and this guy who you think you know pretty well because you work with him a lot, comes to you and basically just says, listen, this kid is accusing me of something I didn't do. Just want to let you know that. And I mean, and that's the whole conversation. I don't know that I blame him for that. Like the continuing, I blame him if he didn't like put some kind of a bumper,
Ask
barrier in
questions,
between.
like I said on
Yeah.
the last episode.
Yeah. You need to ask questions for sure.
I
But
there's so much going on there, man. Again, I think that whole conversation there, I actually kind of want to listen to the whole episode now, or at least that whole conversation, because even when Ryder Strong spoke up, he had a tone in his voice when he said, "Yeah, I hung out with him socially." It was very confident, and I didn't like it. There was no like remorse in his voice. There was nothing. It was very like, "Yeah, I hung out with him socially. He didn't diddle me." So, and that was just that.
I will say that that's kind of Ryder's mentality. Or like,
Man, you got a lot of excuses for these guys.
no, this is no excuse. I promise. Um, but he is like an industry kid. So it goes
what?
back to what you're saying.
But it
No,
goes
it goes
back to
back
what
to
I
what you're
said.
saying
Yeah.
with the industry. Yes, it goes back to what you're saying with the industry. Like if you listen to him talk and have conversations, that's kind of the way he sounds about everything to me. And I'm
Okay.
not saying that's a good thing.
What about when a kid gets sexually abused by a guy you know? So you still put on the industry face, or do you become a human? That's my point. It's time to be human, guys. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's
I
time to
get
be
it.
humans. It's not time to be actors. It's not time to be industry puppets.
I
It's
get
time to
it.
be human. Stop all the industry fucking bullshit, back alley fucking jargon, and just fucking be human. That's my point.
Yeah. But at the end of all this, as I said, I mean, I'm going to listen to the episode and I'll bring it to the table next week on what my opinions are. And if you want to listen to it so
Okay.
you can bash it some more, that would be cool too. But anyways,
Let me tell you a
uh,
quick story. Real
the,
quick.
the end
Real
of
quick.
the end of this whole thing is damned if you do, damned if you don't. You
I
apologize,
disagree.
you're an asshole. You don't apologize, you're an asshole.
No. That's you making
Unless,
me an asshole right
unless
now,
you
and
can
I'm not going to have
apologize,
that. I am
unless
not
you
going to
can go,
have that.
unless you can go back 20 years and apologize, then you're an asshole.
Look, man, the apology needs to be simply, I fucked up. I'm sorry.
I get
That's it.
it.
No explanation. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care what you were feeling when you heard what he did or what he told you he did, and then what you found out later or how you felt in the courtroom. I don't care. I fucked up. I'm sorry. That's it. That is it. But again, in that industry, I
They're,
think it's
they're,
hard to be human. Hey, Raised on the radio. Heard you talking about Nelly being a top 50 rapper of all time. So I have to know, who are your top 5 rappers of all time? Now, as you know, for me, this is probably easier. I can reel them off like that right now. I don't even have to think about it. Want to know them?
I think I
And I'm
know,
gonna
I know Tretch, Andre
yes.
3000.
Well, let me give it to you. Let me give
Okay.
it to you.
Okay,
You've
go
already
ahead.
gotten 2. That's great that you
I
remember
know.
that. So
I
okay,
know.
number 1 is Tupac. I'm gonna give him to you outside of Tupac. Tupac's my number one favorite of all time. That's never gonna change. And then outside of Tupac, it's in no particular order. Okay, but here are the rest of the 4. So Tupac, Tretch, Andre 3000, DMX, Busta Rhymes. Those are my top 5 of all
Okay.
time. Now, are they my favorite? Absolutely. But I could make strong arguments as to why I think they're potentially top 5 best MCs of all time. But I'll give you that argument for Tupac. Here's why I think Tupac is the best rapper, MC, whatever, of all time. Impact, actual lyrics, the ability to tell a story, charisma, the ability to perform, the ability to make a room stop when he rhymes, and then the overall personality that he brought to hip hop, I feel, was different than anything else had done prior to him. And here's what I mean by that. He was able to, and I think I talked about this on a previous episode, maybe it was one I did by myself, but he had the ability to adapt and change who he was. Now, a lot of people sort of thought he took like, he was kind of given a pass essentially because he went to prison, and the whole story about how Suge Knight got him out of prison, signed him to death row, and now all of a sudden he's a gangster rapper. I'm going to argue that. And I'm going to say that's bullshit, because if you listen to the album Me Against the World, which is, in my opinion, his best album, he was talking thug life gangster shit on that record before he got arrested, before he went to prison, before he was on death row. And in my opinion, his most real attempt at letting people know how he felt about what he had seen, what he's seeing on the daily, how he feels about what other people are saying about what he's seeing, what other people are saying about the culture, so on and so forth. And that's why he's my number one. Now, do I think like wordplay wise, there are rappers who potentially are better? Okay, fine. I'll give you that. But none of them can grab a mic and move a crowd like Tupac. And that's why
Right.
he's my number one. That's me.
Okay.
Can you reel off a top five?
I mean, you know my number one,
Eminem.
Eminem for sure. Let's see, probably put Dre in there.
Andre 3000.
No, I was saying
Or Dr. Dre. Oh, wow.
Dr. Dre.
Okay. I'd love an argument for that.
I don't have an argument.
Just good songs, just hit
Yeah,
songs.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Dude. Like that's the thing about this. Like,
if I would have known this question was happening, I could give you some answers. So if I'm just rolling off without giving any explanations, just saying, let's see. So Eminem, Dr. Dre, maybe Ice Cube. Throw Ice Cube in there.
that's not a bad pick at all. Certainly
I-
impactful. Certainly can rap. Certainly like change the fucking game, dude.
which you could throw Eazy-E up there too, easily.
Well, he's not a very good rapper though, bro. I just say, I love Eazy-E. I can recite Real Motherfucking G's front to back without missing a lyric, but the best rapper. Go ahead.
Dude, you said Busta Rhymes, and I hadn't even thought about that, but I like it a lot.
I love Busta Rhymes. He's, in my opinion, incredibly underrated as far as the amount of great albums, like front to back classic albums he's had. His, and again, if you notice there's a theme or a trend in my top five. I like performers. All five of the guys that I named are really good performers. Bring a lot of energy, bring a lot of like charisma and a little something extra to their rhymes and to their music. But so you've got three.
Well, no, I said
You're gonna put
I
Easy in your top five.
No. I
Said
said
Eminem, Dre,
Dr. Dre, Ice Cube. I'm gonna have to say Tupac. I don't think you can have a top five without putting Tupac in there. Mainly because
But is he in your top five though?
Yes, for sure.
Okay,
So is that 4?
it's 4.
I don't know. I don't have a fifth one off the top of my head.
Where is Aesop in your
Ooh,
top
good,
50 rappers of all
good
time?
one. I didn't know we were going underground, sir.
Why not?
I know. Yeah, that's a good one. I really like Aesop.
He's
for
in my
sure.
top 10.
Where
He's
does
in my top 10.
you may have said this before? Is Eminem in like a top 20 for you?
No.
Where would
For
you
me,
put him?
no. For me,
Like
no.
top 30?
Uh,
Top 25, 30, somewhere up there?
yeah. Well, look, man. If I'm being real, okay, I have to. Yeah, like I said, I respect Eminem because of what he's been able to do. I would put him in the mid. For me, this is just for me. Mid 20s, probably.
Okay.
Mid 20s, like around 26.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. And I have like my honorable mentions, like guys that I would put like right there at like number 6 and number 7. Crazy Bone, for sure.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he wasn't top 5.
He's
You
close.
You have to have a 5 though. So
He's close. Crazy Bone, and to be honest with you, I'm just I'm thinking about like again, I kind of go like on impact and the ability to like move me, in a way that like a lot of these other guys. And again, I have like a ton of respect for some of the guys. Like there are typical people like Biggie, for instance.
okay.
I love Biggie, and Biggie has great fucking songs and records. He's like right outside of my top 10, and that would be like sacrilegious to most people.
Mhm.
I'm not saying he's not one of the best ever. I'm just saying for me, and it took. What's fucked up is it took me a while to understand Biggie and understand why people really loved him and like bought into what he was saying and bought into his vibe. And I think like again, maybe that's again sort of a crime or sacrilegious to like why were you sleeping on Biggie? I wasn't. I liked Biggie, but it just I have I have more of an appreciation for him now than I did when I first heard him. You know, and I also like as a pro Tupac guy, I kind of took sides, I guess, which is stupid. Dumb white kid from the Midwest. Why am I taking sides? But I did. I just did. I can't help it. My honorable mentions will be Crazy Bone, and then again, if I'm just going off of like, fuck. Phew. Can there be a tie for number 7? Can I have like a 4-way tie? I would have
Go
to
ahead.
have like I would have to have like a 4-way tie. It'd have to be Scarface, Bun B, and Pimp C from fucking UGK. That's 3, and then probably Big Boy from Outkast. They would all have to be like right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
Can't believe Ja Rule isn't in there anywhere.
he'd be in my top 50.
What about Missy Elliott?
She's in the top 50 for sure. For sure. Yeah, it angers me. And again, I don't want to take anything away from her, but it angers me when people say Nicki Minaj is the best female rapper of all time. It
I don't
bothers
like
me.
that. I don't like that at all.
I like Nicki Minaj. She's fine, but it's people forget about Missy and they forget about MC Light. And yeah, it's funny with the Nelly thing, man. I think so many people, I think it's like half and half. Half and half. People agree that he's with the argument of like, well, he's got to be top 50 because look at what he's done. And then other people are like, well, there's so many people that hate on that era of hip hop. I know I've talked about this so many times, but I still think that's one of the best eras. It opened so many doors. People had so much fun to those songs. And Ride With Me came on the other day on my shuffle while I was at the gym. I was just like, fuck, this is a good song.
Dude, Country Grammar is such a good record.
It's so good. It's
That-
like front to back
even
fun.
yeah, even I mean, not even the biggest songs, like not EI, not
No, all of them. Yeah, absolutely.
like Batter Up,
Yeah.
all of them, man, they're so good.
I'm the
And
first
they're-
to swing. Home run with the gimme what you got. Dude, that's a great record, man. Yeah. All right. So we'll end this with my throwback our throwback, but I'm picking it since we're on this topic. So I want to do
Well,
the
hey,
throwback.
but before we do that, who asked that question? Did you mention that? Who asked that question on Twitter?
Oh yeah, it's Sims Blake Flyers. Something tells me that's not the real name, but
Okay, well, either way, thanks for the question, man.
yeah, thanks.
Send more.
It's this person is Philadelphia born but STL raised is what it says.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. We'll have to.
Apparently
I'll-
a Flyers fan.
It would appear so. Yes. What
I don't know about that, man.
do you mean?
Flyers
Are you a
fan.
Blues fan or something?
Well, kinda.
All right. So I'll message him and say thank you. So let me do the throwback of the week here. Based on the conversation we just had, I'm gonna go to a throwback
playing
hip hop
Blade song?
song. I had my mind made up, but I just kind of. All right, I won't do the song I want to do because it's so long. But I'm gonna do this one. All right, in honor of Tretch, who is in my top 5. It says "Naughty by Nature," "Feel Me Flow." It is. Classic 90s hip hop beat right there. So good.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's like Hard Knock Life, right? It's a hard knock life. That's
How-
like ding ding
how
ding
dare-
ding.
How dare you? This came out first. Don't come on, man. Why you gotta do this to me?
You about to feel the chronicles of a bionicle lyrically spitting, dismissing. I'm on a mission, it just hitting. Now it's written and hitting with mittens. I'm missing, wishing, man, listen. I glisten like sun and water while fishing. Bust the move in this word, serve words with nerve embedded. I said it word, damn you nerd, man, you heard. Coming from the town of Illy and alleys are full of Phillies and rallies. Suckers get silly and Sally, them found in alleys.
Not to get weird, but Tretch was shredded back in the day, huh?
A little bit, yeah, man.
Really? So here we go. Now holla if you hear me though. Come and feel me. Flow. Never Nixon with tricking brothers, bitching over fixes that ain't fitting to be hitting for nothing. Spitting things is spitting and getting written off. You're like a platter, bad platter, boy, you're pissing me off. Boy, you even started. So what? So long. See you fly by my try. How else could I say it when you play it? Try boom. Bye bye, bye bye. Here we go. Now holla if you hear me though. Come and feel me.
You've heard this song before, yes?
Yeah, but I don't know that I've really
Listened to
paid
it all the way?
attention to the lyrics, and I love it, but there's not much to it.
You're too young,
Like,
man. You don't
like he's
understand.
not saying anything to me in these lyrics.
He is too. You just gotta. You're just not from his hood, man. That's okay. It's okay.
all right,
Just
all right.
enjoy.
The flow pro poetical with skills only a better, no better, no ways the weather flow that's on point like decimals, manhandling new crews, partying with the zoo crew, looking for the pink and poo poo. I thought you knew two stone styles of stamina, jamming, and while we're planning the jam, we bust plus with a party amateur damages, managing, damaging mice, men, and even mannequins. You're a fan again, now I wanna know who's the man again. Naughty's back like vertebrae, word to hey I ho, the way I show you pray I flow. Steady breaking to the boogie, so bang time to slang bang and watch all the boo tang tang tang. Here we go now, if you hear me oh, come and feel me flow. Here we go now, if you hear me oh.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to play Yoke the Joker, which is probably the best representation of Tretch as an MC. Also one of your boy Eminem's favorite
Yeah.
songs.
Right.
I wanted to do that, but that's such a long song, so I chose a hit. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry he's not lyrical enough for you. You and your fucking lyrics.
Playing K, you break the body of a beat, the break into boogie. Firm and fully chase bass lines like bullies. All we wanna know is if your body wanna party. It's the boot tang tang for everybody. So hip up and split up, get up, your wit up, souped up, put your dukes up, no guts set up, but sit up, flip up, watch us rip up, shake shows until they fizz up, rizz up, like you're with us. If not, zip up your lip up, whip up. Hits with ransom, foul styles get in. Once we came back 'cause we heard hip hop needed another anthem, black like Noah. In fact, then for ya, and we was back in the days with the gypsies, we'd have been known as the blowers. Revenue since the 70s, find me. So we went crazy in the 80s, so we woke his heinies in the 90s. Oops, the naughties, troops in sections of 40. So clap your hands and hold your shorty. I'm naughty. Here we go now, if you hear me oh.
I love the fact that he had a line in there. I don't know if you were paying attention, but he's talking about we went crazy in the 80s, so we won't kiss heinies in the 90s. The fact that he had the balls to say heinies in a goddamn rap song
I was just
just
sitting here
made me
thinking-
respect him so much.
I was really sitting here thinking, man, this was the time of the poontang, wasn't it?
It sure was.
See, they said
I'm
it
glad,
like 4 times. He said,
I'm glad
he-
you're paying
he
attention.
said the poontang tang hang.
See, you get it. You're catching on. You're feeling it.
Here we go now, if you hear me oh, come and feel me flow. Here we go now, if you hear me oh, come and feel me flow. Here we go now, if you hear me oh, come and feel me flow.
There you go. It's our throwback
Good
of the week.
stuff.
That-